Hello everyone and welcome back to a new video. Um, Now when Overwatch 2 has been out for a while, I thought I thought it was a good idea to talk a bit about SYMMETRA and how she's doing in the current meta. Um, so there's a few things to go over, and the number one thing is that she's not horrible. So I know that I said in a previous video that the changes were like all really bad, but after kind of playing with it more and grinding comp for a bit, I don't have a lot of hours, but around like I think 12 hours, something like that. Um, the right click is actually really useful. Being able to spam orbs so fast is definitely a needed change, and I don't think the old orbs would really work in Overwatch 2. Um, However, the 90 damage is very painful because a lot of the times you can't really duel anyone. So this doesn't mean that the orbs are useless because it is still 90 damage burst. And if you have a team that follows up on your damage, it's really useful because it's 90 damage in a really big hitbox. So it's kind of fair, I suppose. However, it's still it still could be better. And my proposed change or buff to this is to make the damage 95. 100 is a threshold that lets you kind of one shot or two shot a 200 HP hero, but I think it can be a bit um, dangerous and make her overpowered. So I think making it 95 at least adds a bit more damage, and if they've taken any poke, they can probably be two shot anyway. And it also removes the whole hassle of having to like hit 4 shots, for example, in case they're being healed. So yeah, the right click is doing quite well. Now for the left click, the beam. So it was always kind of we always kind of expected that the beam was going to be less useful in Overwatch 2, just because it's such a slow ability in a fast-paced game. It's kind of like they forgot it a bit. Um, But it's if you get charged, you obviously will deal a lot of damage, and you can get team kills if you are set up properly. But getting to that level 3 beam is much harder, especially without shields. My proposed change for the beam is to either reduce the charge up time required. I think right now it's 1.3 per level, but if we make it 1 second or maybe 1.1, that would make it a bit better. Or increase the range by, let's say, 2 meters. Because right now, it's pretty much a Zarya beam, but shorter. Zarya has 2 meters longer range than SYMMETRA. So I think if it matches Zarya, it can be a bit more useful. And it can let you get charged more easily. Alright, now to a big disappointment slash... I don't even know if to call it a disappointment at this point. But basically, the turrets are more cosmetic than anything at this point. And that's not just because of the slow nerf that was in the patch notes. It's because there's been a shadow nerf where the damage went from 40 DPS to 30, which is really bad. And I also think that they made it so the time for a turret to attach to a target is longer. So a lot of the times people can just run away before they even like take 10 damage, which is really pitiful. But I think like the only thing that really needs to change is to revert the stealth nerf from 30 to 40 again. And I think they're fine. Then for Teleporter. Teleporter is probably the best ability she has currently. It's always been SYMMETRA's best ability, but I think it is a much needed change going from permanent to what we have now. I know I was shit-talking it in the earlier videos that it removes a lot of play potential, like playmaking potential, but I think the versatility and just reactivity you can have to abilities and ultimates is so needed. And the 12-second cooldown is really fine. Um, it's only really a 2-second downtime if you play it correctly, and that's really good. Um, the one thing that is a bit annoying is that the teleporter only has 200 combined hit points, which, well, it basically dies really, really fast, and it can be very coin flippy sometimes. Like you want to get out of a Dragon Blade, for example, but Genji just destroys it before it even deploys. Um, so I think if the health was upped by either 25 or 50, I think it's a much needed quality of life change that is not really that big of a buff. It's just quality of life, and it won't make her overpowered or anything like that. I also think that the build time is really good, and yeah, I think teleport is really good overall. All right, and then we have Wall, the ultimate, which has stayed the same. Um, it's still good. Uh, if she gets the buffs I suggested, I would be fine with reducing the duration to, let's say, 11 seconds or 10 seconds, down from 12. I think that's a very fair compensation nerf. Because if you play Wall properly, you you win the team fight every time. Well, maybe not every time, but a lot of the times. So I think nerfing it is fine. Um, yeah. Okay. And then finally, the passive of Symmetra getting ammo from shields. I, I, I said in my earlier video that it didn't really matter, that it was still fine. But I think it did hurt her quite a bit, especially with Zarya running in every game. Um, just being able to just spam a shield or bubble and gaining back ammo is kind of needed. I'm not saying that it needs to come back, but it did hurt Symmetra a bit. Um, but overall, I think Symmetra is in a good spot as a hero. I think the overall balance is fine. However, I think the problem currently is that the other DPS and tank heroes like Zarya, D.Va, Sojourn, Sombra, Genji are just better in every way. She doesn't really fill a niche like she did before. Like, yes, you can take teleport to go to a high ground or whatever, but you might as well just play Sojourn and kill them instead. Um, but I think once they get nerfed, I think Symmetra will be in a much better spot. And it's been confirmed that she's gonna get some sort of adjustments slash buffs, I'm assuming, before season 2. So I'm looking forward to that. But overall, I think she's fine. She's just way harder, and she requires much more time and mechanics to play, which is not for everyone. So I understand that people don't like her. But yeah, that was it for me. So if you like this commentary, please leave a like and a comment or something like that. And ignore the gameplay because it's not giving. Anyway, bye.